everyone. Okay, so welcome. Thank you for joining me today for the encore presentation of the Masterclass, How to Leave Clients from Any Business Event that you attend. I'm really excited to share this. I've done this Masterclass live before, and then we had a bunch of people from all over the world that weren't able to make it at that time because it was in the evening. So I wanted to do this at a second time for everyone so you could get a chance to hear this information because I know how valuable that this can be in your business. So I'm so excited that you guys are here today with me. And those of you that were on earlier, you got to see my little 5-month-old son, River. He said hello. Anyways, I'm in a little mama days for my little cutie pie. But okay, so before we get started, I want to talk about what we're going to, I want to review what it is that we're going to talk about today. And I'm excited to teach this topic because this is something that I use as a core in my business, and I've used it from the very beginning. In fact, it's what helped me launch my business to multiple six figures very quickly, was because I knew that this was the core strategy that I always needed to have in my business. That's what I had heard from every business coach. You need to be going out and networking. You need to be going out and getting leads and filling your pipeline. And as long as you have leads and you sell, you'll always be in business. So I love teaching this because it's a little different from what you've heard before. A lot of people, and we'll get into this, we'll dispel some of those teachings of what you hear about networking, but they tell you to not sell there or to be all about other people. And we'll talk about that a little bit more later, but I'm excited to share this with you because you absolutely can. You absolutely can show up to an event and walk out with a new client sold, or a client that will be sold within the next couple days. So I'm excited to teach this. And today what we're going to talk about is I'm going to share the top 5 ways that you can pick up clients and credit cards at events, how to actually make people want to talk to you, so much so that they cross the room to come and find you and talk to you. And once they talk to you and you engage with them, a simple sentence or two that I've used that has never failed me 100% of the time, that gets people to have a consult, and then hopefully you close them at the end of the consult when you do it right. But also we're going to talk about how to get people really excited and want to talk to you. And I'm going to give you some real live examples of how I've done that and how my clients have done that. So if you are here for the masterclass and you are a client-based business and you want to start creating consistent cash flow in your business, you're in the right place. If you want to stop living client payment to client payment, right? We left our jobs because we didn't want to go paycheck to paycheck, but a lot of us are now client payment to client payment. If that's you, you're in the right place. If you just want a simple and sustainable business that you can count on and that gives you the freedom to live the life you want or build the business as big or as small as you want, you're in the right place. Just frankly, if you want to not worry about where your next client is coming from, and you want to grow your list with raving fans that actually want to hear from you and are excited to hear from you, then you're in the right place. But especially if you're someone that wants to make a massive difference, you know that what you do has a ripple effect on other people's lives, and you want to make a difference in the world and you want to make a difference in your clients' lives. But you know you need to have clients in order to do that, you're definitely in the right place. So if this sounds like you guys, thank you for joining me. I appreciate you taking the time. I respect you and appreciate you for sharing your time with me today. So I promise to give you the best of me and pour into you as much content as I can. And if you guys have questions, feel free to type in the chat. I want this to be a fun, interactive thing where if you have questions, you can type it in the chat. And if I'm able to, I will absolutely answer your question. And if not, I will see the chat later and I will reach out to you and make sure that you're clear. So if you have questions, jump in. Okay? So a lot of people talk about why and why it's so important. And yes, there is why. You have your own why, but what I found is you already know that. So we don't need to spend a lot of time doing that. But I want you to think about that right now and what the goals are that you have inside of you. Because in the world today, there's a new savvy business owner, and it's you. The savvy business owner knows what their why is, right? They have that inside of them. But now what they need to do is pair that with a simple and savvy way to cut through all the noise and cut through all the chaos and get clients, right? Go to where those clients are and figure out the smart and fast ways to take giant leaps forward in their business and better leverage their time. That's what the savvy business owners today want to do. We want to know, how do I work less and make more, right? So if you are that savvy business owner, and you have that why, now all we need to do is take that desire, take that savviness, if that's a word, and match that with a proven process that's going to help you create that lifestyle and the goal that you have. Because once we pair that, we pair your desire to be savvy and your why and that process, then you can have the peace of mind, right? The peace of mind that you know where the next client is coming from. And you can have money in the bank instead of trying to move funds around constantly to cover yourself, right? Or living paycheck or client payment to client payment. And then you can have freedom. You can have freedom in your business to build it as big or as small as you want and live the lifestyle you want. So if something comes up and you need to take some time off, you can do that, right? This strategy enabled me to take a few months off while I was pregnant and have my son River and still have my business be okay, right? I planned for it and let the leads that I used help continue to grow and continue to take care of the business. So whether you want to have that kind of business where you can take time off or you can travel and pick up some clients at the same time while you travel, right? When you are that savvy business owner, it's your business, your way, right? It's not how someone else is telling you to build your business. That's what the savvy business owner is, right? But now you might be thinking, or you may have secretly thought in the past before, will this actually work for me? Will the strategy work for me? I hear that it's worked for her. I hear that it's working for this other person, but secretly deep down, sometimes we wonder like, no, I'm different, or I don't understand why people would do that, or I'm not worthy, or we have these secret fears and these little gremlins, as I call them, in the back of our minds telling us that we're not special, or we can't do this, or we can't do that. Why would someone hire me? Why would they pay me to do this? If you have that, or you have that secret gremlin in the back of your mind saying that, you're not alone. I just want you to know that that's how a lot of business owners feel, especially when they get started using events to get clients and using it in this way, this strategy, because you're putting yourself out there in a new way, and that can trigger some of those fears. So if you feel like that, just know that you're not alone and that it's normal. I know for me personally, I thought, how am I actually going to find people that are really curious and interested in what I have to do, and what am I going to say to make them interested and curious in what I have to do? And then how do I actually turn that around, the interest, into being a client and doing it fast? So I just knew for me, I didn't want to spend a lot of time building out these big, complicated funnels. I saw all these people doing stuff with podcasts and Facebook ads and all of this, and I had to have all these intricate funnels and things to follow up with people. And I just knew that if I was spending time on that, I wouldn't have the time and I wouldn't have the freedom that I wanted. I wanted a simple business that I could count on and not be stuck chasing leads, constantly calling people that don't pick up the phone and don't answer. I want to be able to be free and have a business that could close clients fast without all of that mess. So if you've ever thought that or feel that way, or you're feeling it right now, right? Let me hear you, me too, right? This masterclass is for you, right? So if you're a coach that wants to do more to change the world, or you're a speaker that wants to get your voice out there more, or you're just a business owner that doesn't want to trade time for dollars, and you don't want to worry about where the next client is coming from, and you want some sustainability and consistency in your cash flow, and you guys are in the right place. So here's the thing. I'm going to jump into content in just a moment, and I want you guys to stay to the end, because when you stay to the end of this masterclass, I have some bonus juicy content I'm going to share with you guys that I didn't advertise ahead of time, so you're going to get some really good extra content. But also, I'm going to show you how you can claim a free gift called Finding Your Superpower Proposition. So this is about your value proposition, and you'll hear why that's so important in a moment. And I'll give you this free gift that will walk you through step by step how to create your value proposition. But then also, I have a lot of content, really good stuff that I'm going to share with you guys. And I have to go fast to get through it. I will try not to talk too fast. I am from New York, but I'll try not to talk too fast. But in order to get through everything, I want to share the slides with you guys so that you don't feel like you have to take notes ferociously, and you can just pay attention and you can listen. Okay, sound good? All right, so just pay attention and stay to the end. And anyone that is at the end of this masterclass, I'm gonna send all that stuff to you. Okay, so don't worry about it. Plus you're gonna get some extra content. So it's important you guys stay to the end and listen, because this is all a step-by-step process I'm gonna outline that's helped me close anywhere from $15,000 to $50,000, even $100,000 in sales at an event. Not just from follow-up, right? Sitting face-to-face in the lobby with someone closing the deal. So I'm gonna share this with you guys. So before I get started, I know there's some new people who have not met me before. So I want to tell you a little bit about my story and how I got here, in case you're wondering who's this woman and how did she learn this and why should I care? Why should I listen? So for me, if I were to be honest, it all started for me as a very young child, and events, and why events are so powerful to me. Because you see, as I was growing up, I grew up in a very abusive household. And one of my parents was diagnosed actually with multiple personalities, or dissociative identity disorder is the actual textbook name. As a result, I created a meaning from their actions that I never knew where I stood with people. Can you see how that would be kind of obvious, right? With someone with multiple personalities, you never know where you would stand with them. And I also took the meaning on that I had to work hard to get people to love or like me. So to be fair, my parents, they had a very difficult upbringing themselves. But the difference was they didn't do the work. They didn't do the work to heal themselves and to move past the things that happened to them. So at a very early age, at 17, I decided that wasn't going to be me. I was going to break the cycle. I was going to do whatever I could to change things. So I kind of became a self-development junkie. I went to every event and seminar I could. I read all the books I could get my hands on. And if you ask my friends, they'd probably say I got a little obsessed with it. But I ended up finding and discovering music therapy. I loved music. I sing, I play instruments, and that was my way to heal and to cope. And so I decided to go to college for music therapy. And while I was in college, I had two clients that were business coaches, and I worked with them to help them grow and develop their business. And we quickly found that events were the fastest way to do that, in two ways: both going to events to find clients and close them there, but also hosting their own small events as well. So as I was in school, when I graduated actually school, what happened was I very quickly learned that music therapy, although a big passion for me, just wasn't the business that I wanted to do, right? Can anyone relate? You kind of go down a path for a while and you're like, I love this, this is awesome. But then all of a sudden you realize, no, this isn't the right path for me, right? So ironically, where I had that kind of aha moment was at an event, right? And I realized that that wasn't the right path for me. And I realized I've spent all this time doing events, and I went to all these personal development events. And I realized I had fallen in love with events in general, because at an event, when people go there, they go there with an open mind. They go to an event with an open mind because they want to learn something. They want to find someone. They want some sort of change or transformation to happen. They're hopeful, right? And when you're doing sales, right, that is the perfect place that you want people to be. That mindset that you want them to have is you want them to be open. You want them to be hungry. You want them to be looking and hopeful, because that's the perfect time for you to show what you offer. So I fell in love with events, and I started using that system and that process that I had developed with my clients to go and find clients at events and close them. And so very quickly, I was able to grow my business to multiple 5 figures, to then 6 figures, to then multiple 6 figures, right? So I was ready to go, and I lived happily ever after. Yay, end of masterclass. No, that didn't happen, not quite. In fact, honestly, what happened was 2 years later, I found myself in the chair sulking at a hotel lobby because the hotel manager would not let me in the room. They wouldn't let me get in the room because my card declined when I was trying to check in. I was so embarrassed. Here I am at this business event with colleagues and other people that I know all around me, and I don't have enough money to put my room on my card. Because here in the US, I don't know if it's different in other countries, when you check into a hotel, they don't just charge for the room night, they charge $100 per night for incidentals in case you damage something or you order food or room service. And I didn't plan for that. And it was an extra $400 for this 3-day event. And so I didn't have it on my card. I just didn't have it. And so I remember sitting there in this leather chair in the lobby, and I am so embarrassed. I'm so embarrassed because I don't have enough money in my card, and I'm pissed. That embarrassment quickly turned to being mad, and not mad at the manager. That was my fault. I was mad at myself because I knew how to make money in business at this point. I was on the verge when this happened. I was on the verge of 6 figures in my business. I knew how to make money, but I wasn't doing what I needed to do to create the consistent cash flow in my business. And I realized as I sat there and I did an honest gut check with myself, there were 3 things actually that I was doing wrong. And I want to share this with you guys because it's what I often hear from clients as well, that they're doing themselves in business and they don't know why they're stalling out or they're not getting where they need to. So I want you to just kind of do an honest gut check with me to see if this resonates with you. Number 1, I was trying to get way too ahead of myself, and I needed to go back to the basics and the foundation of business. Number 2, I was letting old programming and beliefs start to speak up. And number 3, I wasn't being honest with myself about being consistent in my actions in business. So the basics that I needed to go back to was go to where the leads are, show them your value, and close it, right? I was getting lost in all these online funnels, and I was building out programs, and I was trying to learn Facebook ads, and I was looking at podcasts and way too much stuff, right? When I hadn't already created consistent cash flow that would give me the time to work on those things and give me the money to invest in those things without robbing my own business or my own household, right? I didn't have that cash flow yet to reinvest in those things. So that was number 1, doing way too much. Number 2, that old programming, right? That I needed to work hard to get people to like me or to get them to work with me, that I wasn't good enough. That stuff was all starting to bubble up again. And then number 3, I wasn't being honest with myself that I wasn't being consistent. I wasn't being consistent in my efforts. So I quickly did the work on this, and I knew, okay, I'm here at a 3-day business event. This is my opportunity. Do the process that you know works. Okay, so my husband, he was on the phone, unfortunately, with his mom. He borrowed money. We got into our hotel room, and we got a little extra, and we used that money, and we upgraded our ticket. I'll talk about that in a minute on why that's important. And I worked the process. I worked the process that I knew worked. And by the end of that 3-day event, the last day, I closed a $15,000 client. That last day of that event, whew, thank goodness, right? But the point is I worked the process, and the process worked, right? So I didn't have a sponsorship booth. I was just an attendee, and I worked the room, and I worked the process, and I closed the client there. So that's what I want to share with you guys, is how powerful this process is when you know how to do it and you work it. So, and then I just continued to use that process when I got home. I also looked at other strategies at events like sponsorship and speaking to get clients in addition to attending. So Guys, if you're letting the belief that you're not worth it sink in and you have to work hard, it's slowing down your process. And if you're doing too much and you're getting bogged down in all these complicated tactics of online marketing, instead of just going back to the basics that work, that's why you're struggling to have that consistent cash flow in your business. You always have to be going out and getting leads and closing them. Whether you're just starting out or you're even a 7-figure earner, you always have to be getting leads. So don't get bogged down in doing too much. And if you're not consistent in your cash flow, you need to really do an honest gut check and look and see if you're being consistent in your efforts. Because if you have that feast or famine, right, some months it's great and some months it's garbage, then most likely you're not continuing to consistently go out and get leads and close them. So once you've mastered this process, then you can go to events, and it's easier, it's way easier to go to an event and show up and leave with a client than it is to create a Facebook ad or do a ClickFunnels or something like that. I mean, it's literally like going to an event and creating cash from a conference or an event. It can be that simple once you know it. And that self-doubt of, am I worthy? Will people pay for this? That starts to fade away when you get the confidence from doing it and you see over and over again, people are happily handing you their credit card because they want to work with you, okay? So once you do that and you create this steady stream of clients, now you have the freedom to choose the life that you want, okay? So before I jump into content, I want to get some clarity on some verbiage that I'm going to use so that you're clear. So this process that I've outlined, there are 3 primary ways to get clients from events, from someone else's event. 3 different ways: being an attendee, being a sponsor, or being a speaker. Those are the 3 ways. And those are 3 different strategies on how you can get cash from conferences, like I said, right? So I call these 3 strategies cash from conference strategies. So if I say that, I'm referring to being an attendee, a speaker, or a sponsor. Those are all cash from conference strategies, okay? So the one that we're gonna deep dive into today is how to be an attendee. So the cash from conference strategy we're gonna talk about today is being an attendee at someone else's event. And the reason we're starting with that today is because if you figured out this cash from conference strategy, you're 80% of the way there. Because you could never be a sponsor or a speaker. I wouldn't recommend it because that's where you make the really big bucks. But you could just go to events as an attendee from these skills that I'm going to talk about today once you master them, and be 80% of the way and have this game totally figured out. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to outline the top 5 ways to use this cash from conference strategy to get clients. Got a lot to cover, again, in a short amount of time, so I will give you guys the slides at the end of this. So let's jump into content. And what I'm going to do is, actually, for a little visual aid, I'm going to pull up the slides, and I'm going to share my screen with you guys right now so you can see everything. So just a moment. Okay. From beginning. There we go. Okay. Good. Okay, so when you are going to an event, actually, let's first start by, I want to get clear on what I mean by events, what type of an event. Now, this masterclass is about any business event, and that is absolutely true. All of the things I'm going to teach you and the principles I'm going to teach you today apply whether it is a 1-hour networking event, it is a half day, a full day, a 2 or a 3-day or more, right? So if you go to an event, a business event that's a 3-day event or a conference like that, those are going to be the most effective to get the most and get the as many clients as possible. But all of this works, and I've gotten clients, and you'll see examples of other clients of mine that have gotten clients using this strategy with just a half-day event or a 1-day event. So yes, this will work for any business event that you attend, but my favorite ones to do where I make the most amount of money is going to a 2 or 3-day event. So before we get started in this, I want to quickly dispel some networking tips that I've heard shared out there. And I just thought of this before, so I don't have a slide for it, so just bear with me. But what I've heard a lot of people say about networking, the number one thing that drives me up the wall is networking. When you network, it needs to be all about the other person. And you always need to come from a place of service and how can you connect them with someone else. It needs to all be about how can you serve and connect them. Okay, that's crap. I'm going to call it, okay? That's crap. It needs to be about how you can help them, but sometimes helping them means also helping yourself at the same time, because sometimes you're the person that they need to help to get the help that they need. So if you only network for other people, I mean, just do the math on that. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. If you're always trying to help other people and everyone's always trying to help someone else, how are we getting anywhere? So yes, listen, pay attention, and see how you can help and connect them. But you're networking to get clients. Like, let's just be real here, right? So when I hear people say this, that, oh, when you network, it's to help and connect other people, and that's all you should be thinking about, I think, okay. And then I look at them and I say, okay, well, that's why you're broke. That's why you don't have any clients. I'm just being honest, right? That's usually true. So yes, it's about building relationships. It's about connections, but it's also about looking out for who are your hot prospects and not being afraid to close the deal, because the people that hide behind that are usually the ones that are afraid to close the deal and to ask for the consult. Okay, so I just wanted to dispel that right there. Feel free to challenge me if you want later, but it's true. And having this balanced mindset when I go networking of how can I help, but also sometimes I'm the person that they need the help from, is what's helped me close 5 to 6 figures when I go to other people's events. Okay, so the top 5 ways, now that we've got that cleared up, the top 5 ways to pick up clients and credit cards. Number 1, this is so important, and I hinted towards it earlier in my story. Always, 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 always be a VIP. Be a VIP at the event. So at a lot of events that you'll go to, especially if it's a multi-day event, they will have an upgrade option to become a VIP at the event. You always want to be a VIP at the event because number 1, you're just going to get more out of it. They always give you extra stuff. They give you special treatment, maybe bonus content and training. And when you're at these events, you're looking for clients, but you're also looking to learn. So you get more out of it, so it makes sense. But number 2, it shows that you invest in yourself. When you go to an event to look for clients, people are looking at you. They see you, they see your actions. And if they don't see that you invest in yourself, or they think you're broke because you can't afford VIP, right, then they're not going to think that you can really help them increase in any way in their lives, right? Everyone is looking for someone to help them increase something, more happiness, more joy, more money, better relationships, whatever it is. So if you're not VIP, then it makes it look like you're lacking, like you're broke, and you don't have that ability to then help other people raise their level of whatever it is that they want. Does that make sense? Does that make sense, guys? But the number 1 reason to be a VIP, that's where your prospects are. That's where the hottest prospects are, right? In the VIP room, that is where the high caliber people hang out. That shows you, number 1, they have disposable income and they're not broke, which means they're more likely to hire you. But here's a quick bonus tip. If you ever want to do your own events, the reason multi-day events that have a sales offer at them, the reason they have the VIP upgrade is because that is an automatic tell who the buyers are in the room. Every time, like clockwork, the people in the room, the vast majority of them that are VIPs, they are the ones that buy the offer at the event. So we do the VIP ticket in the event strategy because we know then who our buyers are. So if the VIPs are the buyers, where do you want to be? You want to be with the other VIPs. So this is why it is so important. And I dig my heels in on this to the point of saying that if you're going to use going to events to get clients as an attendee, as your cash from conference strategy, do not do it if you're not going to be a VIP. It is worth the investment. You will make it back tenfold, I promise you. If you don't go as a VIP, I can't guarantee that this strategy is going to work for you. In fact, I doubt it. So don't do this strategy if you're using going to events as an attendee to get clients. Don't use this if you're not going to be a VIP, plain and simple. So in my story that I shared with you earlier about how I was at that 3-day business event, and by the end of it, I picked up a $15,000 client. I met her the very last day of the event. There's hundreds of people there. I didn't meet her until the very last day of the event, having lunch in the VIP room. She happened to be sitting at my table. If I hadn't been a VIP, I never would have met her. And I never would have closed that $15,000 client. So that's why it's so important to be in the room and be a VIP, right? Are you guys tracking with me? This makes sense? Yes? Yeah, I can feel the heads nodding, hopefully. So again, it's so important why you guys become a VIP. So I want to share with you a quick story. Let me tell you a story about a client of mine named Nancy Roberts. Nancy Roberts, her and her business partner had an event that they were going to go to as an attendee because they heard that this was going to be a great opportunity for them to get clients. But the more Nancy learned about this opportunity, she felt like there was something else that they could be doing that would help them get more clients. She just had this inner voice, right, that there was this bigger opportunity there, and she wanted to be able to maximize it a little bit more. And at the time, she was teaching coaches how to charge what they're worth. So they weren't charging enough. They weren't making the money that they wanted because they weren't charging what they're worth. Do you think someone who's undercharging for their services would pay her big money to work with her? Just curious what you think. Well, her business partner didn't want to invest any more than just going as an attendee. But instead of any negative stories or doubts or anything that other people had, she listened to that inner voice. She called me, and we spent the day together brainstorming, and we looked up things and came up with a strategy on how to maximize the opportunity. So I'll share a little bit later exactly what it was she did. But by the result of her not just going as an attendee, but looking at what was the greater opportunity, in less than a week, we put this strategy together of a mini event, and I'll talk more about how that works a little bit later. A piggyback event, just a little teaser, it's called. And we did a short little 2-hour mini event at the event. And at that mini event, she sold over $50,000 in sales at that little piggyback event that we did. So sometimes being an attendee is great, but sometimes there's more to the opportunity. So we don't want to just close our minds of how we can get clients at events. There could be more opportunities there. But the point is, she didn't let this guy creep in. This guy is a gremlin. If you guys have ever seen the movie Gremlins, you feed them after midnight and this is what they become. I call them gremlins, right? That negative talk in our minds. But if you gave into the story of people that are undercharging and they're not making enough money, so why would they pay me? That's a gremlin. That's a gremlin talking to you and the negative beliefs that you have. So once you know how to position yourself and you have the confidence from doing it, that negative story, that gremlin, he calms down and he goes away because you're seeing people hand you their credit card and gladly want to work with you. And that's also the value of having someone on the outside help you as well, because you can't see the forest through the trees. Sometimes there's opportunity and sometimes there's gremlins, and you need someone on the outside to be able to help you identify where the stories are coming from. And you also need someone to help you identify what are the opportunities that you have. And is there a better way or a smarter way or a savvy way to be doing this where I can make more money in this opportunity? So like Nancy, sometimes we need that outside perspective to help us, right? And you can see from her example, it paid off, right? She closed $50,000 at that event. So sometimes there's ways to add on to being an attendee as a strategy. And I'll talk more about that at the end of how to do that. Okay, the second way to pick up clients and credit cards is ditch the elevator speech. Can I get an amen? Thank goodness. Oh, the dreaded elevator speech, right? Someone says, "What do you do?" And then you're supposed to have this perfectly canned, put together speech or pitch, elevator pitch of what to say. I hate elevator speeches. Hate them, hate them, hate them. Number one, who likes an elevator pitch, right? No one likes being pitched to or being giving a speech, right? And the other thing I hate about it is you end up becoming like this robot, right? If someone says, "What do you do?" And you're like, "I help so and so do this, blah, blah, blah." There's no natural flow or conversation with that. And then also people obsess. They obsess over the perfect words that they need to say, as if like the perfect words that they come up with is going to magically unlock business owners' wallets or something, right? And they get so fixated on what are these words that I need to say that they lose sight of what the bigger picture is, right? The bigger picture is you simply just need to know your value proposition and how to have a conversation around it. So what do I mean by a value proposition? We're going to spend some time and deep dive into this because this is so critical. If you don't know how to do this, you will never pick up clients at events. Doesn't matter if you're an attendee, if you're a sponsor with a table or a booth, or if you're speaking from the stage. If you don't know your value proposition and how to have a conversation around it, this will never work. And you will have a hard time in so many areas. You'll struggle in business in general if you don't know this. So a value proposition is a short and simple marketing statement to your ideal client that shows them the main reason why they should buy from you. So what is the problem that you solve? That is basically what the value proposition is. It shows them why they should buy from you and the value that it brings. Okay? So you've heard me say when I've taught this process that there are a lot of people who are intrigued by this because they are going to events as a sponsor with a booth or a table or as an attendee, and they're not closing clients at the event, and they wonder why, and they're not sure why they have this long sales cycle, why they're chasing people down, why they're having a hard time in their follow-up, or they're not closing sales at the event. This is why. This is so important. This is why people are having a hard time. And I'm going to go through a couple other reasons why, but this is the main point of why they're not able to close clients at events. So a couple other things is, number one, they don't know how to find it. They don't know how to find the right events. They're usually in the wrong rooms. They don't know how to qualify it once they have a list of events. They don't know how to determine, is this actually a good opportunity for my business, or does it just sound good? They don't know how to set up the sales consults, and they don't know how to close people on those consults once they get them set up. But again, the number one thing is the value proposition. They don't know what the number one problem is that they solve and how to have a conversation around it. I see this happen and this spill over in so many areas. Again, if you were to be a sponsor at an event, a lot of times they will include an infomercial, as they call it, where you get like 60 seconds or a couple minutes on stage to share what you do. And I was at an event, and there was about 10 sponsors lined up to go on the stage to do their infomercial. And they were just one after another, just rambling on and on and on and on about what they do. They didn't at all clearly articulate the value that they bring and the number one problem that they solve. And this is what the audience looked like. Everyone was falling asleep, or they were doing this. They were checking out their phones, talking to other people, or you can see the back of the room, right? They're gone. It's like, okay, now's a good time to go get that coffee or use the bathroom. So when you have an opportunity to be on stage in front of your ideal clients and you don't know how to very quickly tell people and communicate with them what it is that you do, the problem that you solve, and the value that that provides them, you're dead. You're dead in the water. So whether this is a face-to-face conversation one-on-one or it is on stage, you have to be able to know the number one problem you solve and just simply have a conversation around it. So it doesn't matter the actual words that you use. I don't care what the words are that you use. I just want to know the problem that you solve and where everything you do is pointing to. So there's a lot of different services and things that you do for people. I get that. You're not just a one-trick pony. Neither am I. There's a lot of different services I offer. Event consulting, event help support with sales, event marketing, consulting on how to use events to get clients, right? There's a lot of different things that I do, but the overall problem that I solve is I help business owners strategically use events to get clients, right? So you need to be able to put in just a few words how you help your clients and the value that you provide. It doesn't matter the actual words you use. They don't have to be the same. I just did that one just now, and it is a little different than I've done it in the past. You just need to be able to have a conversation around it. So I'm going to give you a couple examples of this because I think that might help. So because a lot of people get tripped up on this, just because it's simple, it doesn't mean it's easy. So a lot of people get tripped up on this. So I'm going to give you a couple examples. Will that be helpful if I give you a couple examples on this? Yes? Okay. So a relationship coach, their value proposition could be find the love of your life. A business consultant, make more sales with high-end offers. A sleep expert, get a good night's rest. Sales coach, make more money with better sales. Pretty simple, right? You're starting to see the pattern here of like what is the overall problem that they solve. A branding expert, attract more and better clients with great branding. An event planner, grow your business through events. An executive coach, get promoted. Very simple, two words. Marketing coach, get leads online. So I just want you to look at this list, as an example, and just see how short and concise this is. This is just the overall problem, right? Or the solution that they provide. Get a good night rest, make more money, grow your business, get promoted, get leads. Very simple and short and to the point. So I just want you to think about this and how short this is, because the mistake a lot of business owners make with the value proposition is they think that the more time they have to talk, the more time they have to clarify and talk about what it is that they do. It actually works the other way around. If you can't quickly say in a sentence, in just a few seconds, the problem you solve and the value that it brings, you're just going to ramble on and fumble around on yourself when you try to explain it when you have more time. So if you can't do this in a couple sentences or one sentence you can't do this, you will not be able to deliver an effective 30-minute talk, 60-minute talk, 2-minute infomercial on stage, or a one-on-one conversation when you're attending events. When you have that one-on-one conversation with people, you need to be able to have a conversation around the problem that you solve and the value it brings. Otherwise, what's going to happen is they're going to check out. They're going to totally check out, and their eyes are going to glaze over with the deer in the headlights look, right? And they're going to be doing their grocery list in their head, or they're going to be wishing someone would come along and interrupt and save them from the crazy lady that just keeps talking. So that's why this is so important. Are you guys starting to understand, right, why this is so important with the value proposition? Why it's so important that you get this. So if you guys think that you know your value proposition, I want you to type it in the chat right now. Go ahead and take a second. I'll let you think about it for just a couple seconds and type it in the chat while I take a sip. Okay, so if you think you've discovered the #1 problem that you solve, congrats, you're off the hook. Well, almost. You need to know how to then take that value proposition and to have a conversation around it. You need to understand how to add something to it. I'm going to show that in a second. I want you to remember, though, if you're struggling with this and you haven't put your value proposition in the chat yet, don't beat yourself up, because just because this is simple does not mean it's easy, right? A lot of times we need someone on the outside to help us clearly say what it is that we do and help us find that one value proposition, the #1 problem we solve. So a lot of times when I'm doing a VIP day with a client, for example, And we're helping them figure out who their ideal client is and the events they should be attending and their packaging and pricing. And then we get to the value proposition. We ask them a lot of questions to kind of help pull it out of them. And then usually they're like, well, I do this and I help them do that and blah, 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 I help them do this. Well, basically I help them lose weight without depriving themselves. That's it right there, right? If you're a weight loss coach, I help them lose weight without depriving themselves. That's the value proposition. So if you're struggling to figure this out right now, don't beat yourself up. Sometimes we need that little outside perspective to help us nail that value proposition. But I just want you guys to get how important this really is, and to feel the freedom and the release of having the perfect elevator speech. You can put that to the side. You don't need to have the perfect words. Let's just figure out the problem you solve and the value it brings, and then we can have a conversation around it. Because everything else in this strategy and all of the cash from conferences strategies hang off of this. You have to nail this in order to be able to successfully do everything else. Really in business in general. You can't build funnels if you don't know your value proposition. You can't do Facebook ads if you don't know your value proposition. So this is so core that it's important that you get this. So number 3, picking up where we just left off on the value proposition, is when it's your turn to then share what you do, right? So whether it's, everyone's going around the room and they all get 60 seconds to say what they do, or you go to the microphone at the event and you ask a question and you share what you do. You want to state your value proposition and then give a tangible result or time frame with it. So again, it doesn't have to be the perfect words every single time, but you state the value proposition and then you state some sort of tangible result or time frame along with it. So for example, I help business owners strategically use events. To close 5 to 6 figures in 3 days or less. So I stated my value proposition, right? I help them use events to get clients, and I help them do that in 3 days or less. I help them close 5 to 6 figures in 3 days or less. So if you're a weight loss coach, it could be I help them lose X amount of weight in this amount of time, or you just say I help them get healthy in this amount of time, whatever it is. But you want to try and add some sort of a actual tangible result or outcome, and if possible, a time frame as well to that value proposition. When you do this, this is what gets people excited and gets them to cross the room to come and talk to you. So at another event where I was an attendee looking for clients, I had the opportunity to go to the microphone and share what I do and then ask a question. And I quickly shared my value proposition and added in that tangible result. And before I could even get back to my seat, a woman had chased me down from all the way on the other side of the room, shoved her card in my hand and said, "We gotta talk. We gotta talk." And so we sat down, we talked together, and she ended up becoming a $10,000 client before that event was over. So this is how important this is getting that value proposition down and then adding some sort of a tangible, because then very quickly people can self-identify and say, I need to talk to you. Or they're like, wow, that's really interesting, tell me more. And you want them to engage, you want them to ask more questions. So if you're not able to quickly share this, you're going to bomb on stage and you're going to bomb on the mic and people are going to check out, and it makes it a lot harder. So are you guys starting to see not only is it important how the impact of the value proposition, but also how, when you're clear on these things, how you're able to actually get clients from attending an event? Are you guys starting to see how this is possible? Okay, good. So number 4, the 4th way to pick up clients and credit cards, make it about them, not you. Make it about them, not you. So when I was just talking about sharing your value proposition and the tangible result, I just said that when you do it correctly, people self-identify and they say, I need that. I need his service. I need her service. And they will tell you or ask you and say, how do you do that? We'll ask you more questions. That's when you know you nailed it, because now they want to know more, right? So when you're having a conversation with someone, um, before you even get to that point, you want to make it about them, ask them questions, so that when it comes their time to ask them about you, they're already interested in you. So before, when you're in a networking situation with them, let me just pause there for a second. When you're networking and you're speaking and you're meeting a new person, right? You're going up to someone and you're having a conversation, or someone comes up to you at your booth. You want to make it about them, not you. Eventually, with your value proposition and you stating what you do when they ask you, they will want to know more. They will opt in and ask you to share more. But when you're first getting started in that eyeball to eyeball conversation, right? You meet someone new or they come to your booth, you need to make it all about them. Be interested, not interesting. This is where I see a lot of people fumble and have a hard time, is because they're thinking about, what am I going to say that's going to make them curious or make them interested in me? Or, what am I going to say that's going to spark their attention and their curiosity? And what they should be doing is focusing on the other person. They need to be asking the other person lots of questions and get to know them first. So, because the truth is, even if it hurts, you're boring. In their eyes, you're boring. When they first meet you, they don't care what it is that you do until they care what it is that you do, right? So you need to show that you're interested in them and ask them really good thought-provoking questions, and then they'll start to care about you. Then they'll opt in and they'll want to hear that value proposition, and they'll ask you, oh, wow, that's cool. How do you do that? Now, all of a sudden, it's like, oh, I've been talking about me the whole time. What do you do? Oh, wow, that's cool. How do you do that? Right? So until they have opted in themselves personally, they don't care. So here, I'm going to show you a couple questions, icebreaker questions when you meet someone brand new, of how to be interested in them, how to focus on them. Does that sound good? Okay. So here's a great one that I use all the time that really helps, and it works whether it's a networking event or it's a personal development event or a business event. What are you hoping to get out of this event? So I just meet someone new. Hi, Kayla. My name's Alexis. What's yours? Or, well, I just said Kayla, so you already know her name. But just as an example, right? Hi, Kayla. So what are you hoping to get out of this event? Right? I would just ask her, what are you hoping to get out of this event? The first thing I would say to her when I meet her. And she would tell me, she would say, well, I'm looking for someone to help me with copy. Let's say we're at a marketing event. Well, I'm having a hard time with my copy. It's not compelling. It's not converting. Or I'm looking for someone to help me build out my funnel. Right? So that could be something she might say. And then my follow-up to her would be, is that a challenge that you're having in your business? Are you having a hard time with copy? Yes, it's not converting well. I'm not able to really get people to buy. I'm not really sure what's happening. Wow, oh, wow, I'm sorry to hear that. Is that something you've been struggling for a while, or is that something new? Do you think the copy just isn't converting now and something's changed? And then she would answer that question. And then if she tells me, yes, I've been struggling with it for, honestly, the past year, I would ask her, well, why do you think you haven't solved that yet? Why do you think that's an ongoing problem for you? So something along those lines, right, is you want to keep the conversation going and keep it all about them. And so here's kind of the Jedi ninja trick behind all of this is when you're asking these questions to the attendee, what do you think you're doing? Think about that. What are you finding out about them? You're finding out their number one challenge. You're finding out how long they've been dealing with that challenge. So in your mind, automatically, you can start figuring out how much that's costing them based on how long they've been struggling with it. And then you're finding out why they think that they haven't solved that problem. All of these three things, really all four of these questions, give you everything that you need in a sales conversation to help you close the deal. This is what you need to drill down to in a sales conversation. And I get into more detail with this when I work with my clients on how to do this at events, but these questions help you drill down to really see what's going on behind the stuff. It also helps you identify, is this person actually a hot lead for me or not? Is this person someone that I can help? Or like I was saying earlier at the very beginning, my little rant on networking, is this something that I can refer to someone else? Or is there someone I know that I can connect them to that could better help them instead of me? So it helps you, these questions help you to figure out, are they your ideal client or not? And what is it that you need to use in the sales conversation to help close the deal? Here's another example question. You can use these same follow-up questions, but here's another example. Who are you looking to connect with? Maybe it's a networking event, a small 1 hour, 2 hour networking event. Maybe there's someone specific they came to find. So I like the, what are you hoping to get out of this event? Some people like the, who are you looking to connect with? If it's a business development event, a lot of times they'll ask, what are you hoping to learn at this event? But these are great questions that get the conversation going, and they start talking about themselves. And then what you'll find is they're going on and they're actually thinking about this stuff maybe for the first time. They're starting to get some ahas from you, and then they start looking at you in a different way and respect you. And then all of a sudden they realize, wait a minute, I've been talking this whole time. And then they turn it around and ask you, so wait a minute, so what do you do? Right? And then you can say your value proposition and the tangible result and the time frame. And they're like, wow, that's really cool. How do you do that? Because now they just said that they needed what you do. And then they asked you, what do you do? And so now they've opted in and they're curious about you. And now it's so much more easy and natural to have the conversation with them, and they have opted in themselves versus you trying to push something on them and they're in a resistance phase, right? So I hope like some of you guys are getting like a huge aha around this, because when people say that they feel awkward or they don't know what to say at events, it's because of this. They don't know how to have the conversation and make it about the other person. Or when they say that they do a booth or something and have a table and they don't know what to say, and they just feel awkward at their booth. Once they get these icebreaker questions, it's so much easier. And you're able to actually just be yourself and have fun with people instead of worried about, oh, what was my elevator speech again? What were those perfect magical words to open the wallets? So is this making sense? Are you guys loving these questions? Like, this was such a big breakthrough for me when I realized this. Okay. And are you starting to see how much easier it is once you have this process down and you know what to do and you know what to say? It's becoming so much easier, right? Yeah. Okay. Number 5, the 5th way to pick up clients and credit cards. Book the sales consult for that day or within the next 3 to 5 business days. Guys, this is so important. In sales, I would so love to just do like a full day on this topic because there's so much more I could get into. But in sales, the longer the lead goes, the less likely they are to buy. And when are they the hottest? When they just met you, when they just had that great conversation, you just got them to open up and answer all these questions. And maybe it's the first time they've ever really thought about this stuff and were honest with themselves. So they're primed, they're ready, they're excited, and you just showed them that you're the solution. Book the consult. That's the time to say, you know what, let's have a bigger conversation about this and I can show you how I can help you. So book the consult for that day. So when I say that day, maybe it's an hour networking event. You could ask them for coffee later, ask them to join you for lunch, or if it's a multi-day event, hey, do you want to go have coffee during the lunch break or have lunch, or do you want to meet up after the event is over, right? Book the consult there at the event. Don't wait if it's a hot prospect. If it's a hot prospect, don't waste your time if you can tell that they're really kind of, you know, right? Especially if you're asking those questions, you know if they're a good prospect or not. If they can't do it that day, then you want to do it in the next 3 to 5 business days. Because again, the longer the lead goes, the cooler they get. So in the next 3 to 5 business days, you want to book that consult if for some reason you can't get them to do it that very day. So I'm going to share with you guys my beautiful, magical sentence. It really is probably 2 sentences that I use that helps me book the consult. And I would say it's 100% so far. I can't think of a time where it was my ideal client. I shared my value proposition, and we had a great conversation. And then I said this sentence or two, and they didn't book. I don't think that's ever happened. I think it's 100% track record that they have always booked the conversation. You guys want to know what it is? You guys are kind of quiet. Am I going too fast? Hopefully I'm not going too fast for you guys. Like I said, I'll share these slides with you. But so the magical sentence is, Kayla, I'm loving our conversation, and I have a bunch of ideas for you that I'm so excited to share. But I know that you want to make the most out of your time here and connect with other people. So how about this? Why don't we meet up for lunch during the next break? Does that work? Great. Okay. Or why don't we do this? Why don't we meet up for a cocktail at the bar when the session is over? Or why don't we do this? Why don't we meet up for coffee after? Whatever it is, fill in the blank. Let's meet up for something around this time, right? So the point is, I'm loving this conversation. I have a bunch of ideas I'm excited to share, but I know you want to make the most out of your time and connect with other people here too. How about this? So it's kind of an assumptive close. You're saying that like you're going to meet because you're having a great conversation and you have ideas for them. Why wouldn't they want to meet with you? So this saves you time in setting up the consult for later. You do it right then and there while it's hot. They're excited. You guys get your calendars out and you book it right then and there. And you get their contact information and you meet up with them and you do the sales consult. It really is that simple. It really is that simple. Is anyone's mind just like blown right now from this? Like, this is huge. I have clients that I've worked with where they never did this before, and then they started using this at networking events. And they were booking sales consults left and right? And this is how they got the sale. And people haven't done this even when they had a sponsorship booth. And this is why they're not closing sales, right? With their hot prospects, is because they don't ask for the consult. You have to ask for the sales consult. You don't call it that. You just tell them, I've got ideas for you, and I want to, be respectful that you have other people here you want to connect with, make the most of your time. So why don't we meet up later? Okay. So you just have to be brave and you have to ask for it. Plain and simple, just like sales. So here's the reality. There's so much more, like I said, I would love to go into detail about from the sales perspective, especially like picking up where we just left off on, okay, now you get them to sit down. How do you make sure that they show up? And then how do you then have the conversation fresh from the event that actually closes the consult, right? I spend literally an entire day covering all of this with our high-level clients. And we've only been discussing this for like 50 or 60 minutes or so now. And I would love to go into more depth. So, but for right now, what I want to do is I want to invite you to become a member in the Cashman Conferences training program and to participate more in this, because to continue learning about this topic, you have to continue your education with me. I can't cover it all in this time frame, and I would love to. And this is only one piece of the puzzle. If you really want to make big money from events, sponsorship is the name of the game. Sponsorship and speaking from the stage is the name of the game. So what I want to do again is invite you to become a member of the Cashman Conferences training program and to participate in this and learn more from the comfort of your own home, so that you can start closing 5 to 6 figures in sales at events. And I want you to learn all 3 strategies, all 3 of the Cashman Conference strategies, because like I said, the real big bucks that come is from sponsorship and speaking. I've closed, a $10,000 client, a $15,000 client here or there from attending events, but I've closed $100,000 in 3 days or less from being a sponsor or from being a speaker at an event. So what I want to do right now is I'm going to walk you through all 3 of the Cashman Conferences strategies, because I don't want you guys to just wing this. I want you to understand this. But as I go through this, I want you to be open-minded and I want you to pay attention and stay to the end, because I'm going to keep teaching as I explain these strategies. And you guys are going to get some really, really good bonus content. So I invite you guys to pay attention to stay to the end, because whether or not you decide to enroll in my program today, I want you to pay close attention, because these are all the steps you absolutely must know to succeed and to close 5 to 6 figures at an event, and then create that consistent cash flow that we talked about that you want. Okay, so pay close attention and stay to the end, because again, at the end, I'm going to not only I'm going to give you bonus content and tips, but I'm also going to give you the copy of the gift Finding Your Superpower proposition. That's going to help you get clear on that value proposition that we spent all that time talking about. It actually outlines the process and how to get clear. I took that right out of the Cash from Conferences program for you. And then I'm also going to give you the slides. So pay close attention. I promise that, and pay close attention to the sales piece as well, because this is also good training for you. So I'll be teaching as I go, but let's start by talking about the actual process, the step-by-step process to get cash from conferences and close 5 to 6 figures at events. The first step is get clear on your ideal clients. When I say ideal clients, I don't mean target market. There's a big difference between target market and ideal client. Target market, for example, would be business owners. Well, someone that owns a fish and tackle shop is a business owner, but that's not someone that I necessarily want to work with. That's under the umbrella of business owners, but an ideal client for me would be a business coach or a health coach or a marketing consultant, right? So those are ideal clients. Business owner is a target market. Now, this is really crucial when you're trying to go to events to get clients, because in order to look up the events that you want to go to and make sure you're in the right rooms and you're not wasting time and you're not wasting money, the events should have your ideal clients there, not just your target market. Specifically, you want majority of the audience to be your ideal client. So this is really, really important, and it takes time to narrow this down, because sometimes you're not clear on the ideal client that you want to start with. You might have multiple ideal clients. So for example, you could have health coaches as an ideal client. You could have fitness instructors as an ideal client. You could have business owners, or not business owners, business coaches as an ideal client. So you could have multiple ideal clients, and that's okay if you have multiple. But what we want to focus on first is who are the ones that really are looking for your help and really need your services desperately and are willing to pay for it. So you need to get clear on who your ideal client. And then once you can do that and you have that clarity on ideal client, then you can think like them. You can think like the ideal client and think about, okay, if I was a health and wellness coach, where would I go? If I was looking for a solution with my sales and I'm a health and wellness coach, where would I go? Also, you can craft a message that speaks directly to your ideal client's wants and needs. If you're very specific and general in your marketing, it's going to be harder to close the deal and harder to craft any sort of marketing materials to attract your ideal clients to you. Also, you're going to have a very higher close rate or conversion rate when you have a sales consult with your ideal clients, because you know their pain points, you know their wants, you know their needs. So that's why the first step in the first module in Cash from Conferences is getting clear on your ideal clients. The second step is you gotta nail the value proposition. I know I've drilled this over and over again today, but it's because it's so critical and so key, and it's the foundation to everything in your business, but especially with using the Cash from Conferences strategies, you gotta know your value proposition. So once you know your value proposition, which we help you get that completely solid and nailed down, we help you distinguish what is that number one problem you solve and the value that it provides, then we give you training and teaching on how to have the conversation around it. So you're an event planner, you know, your value proposition is you help people grow their business with events. Okay, now how do you have a conversation around that? So we teach that in the Cash from Conferences training program, and we give you examples on how that then ripples out into having a conversation at your booth, the materials for your booth, giving a talk from the stage, and so on, right? We show you how that ripple effect goes out to everything that you do. Number three, this is really important because when you're changing and you're adding on and doing something different, and it's a little outside of your comfort zone, you're gonna have that little gremlin pop up. There's gonna be times where you have some negative beliefs popping up saying that, who do you think you are? Or no one will ever pay that, or no one will buy from you right there in the spot. What are you, nuts? Or maybe it's family or friends saying things like that. When you put yourself out there and you're in a new comfort, you're going outside of your comfort zone, those negative beliefs and thoughts are going to pop up for you. And like I said, I'm a personal development junkie, so I had to put something in here about mindset. So in module 3, we address some of the negative beliefs and some of the things that will come up once you start putting yourself out there in a bigger way, and we address that. Number 4, module 4, and the 4th step is you have to know how to find and qualify events. This is so, so, so important. When I have a conversation with people on why they're not getting clients from events when they attend, but especially when they are a sponsor and they have a booth, and I'm not talking about new people in business. I've had this conversation with multi-6-figure, even 7-figure business owners who are not closing sales at events. They're not closing 5 to 6 figures like we are at events. When I drill down and I ask them and figure out why, it's usually because of this. It's usually because they don't know how to actually find the right events. They're not finding events that have their ideal clients in them. They're kind of like, okay events. And they don't know how to qualify the events. It's so important that you have a qualification process, because you could hear about an event and someone who you think is reputable, or a good friend or colleague, or even your coach, your business coach, could tell you this is a great event for you. You should go, you should do it. And it's a big investment. I had a situation like that with a client where they were told that they needed to sponsor this event, and it was on the other side of the country for them. So they had to pay for 3 different people's flights, their hotel. They had to pay for the sponsorship opportunity, which was a few thousand on top of that, plus the hotel for all 3 people for that whole time, and food, and for their booth, and the materials. By the time they were done, it was about 10 grand that they paid for this event. They did not know how to qualify the event. So what ended up happening? Well, you probably guessed, it bombed, right, for them. It was not a good event. It was full of hippies, right? Like the spiritual, I love my crystal type hippies. And listen, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with people that are all about energy and heart and stuff like that, but that was not their target market. They wanted serious business owners. That's who they wanted to work with. And they didn't know how to qualify the event. The booth was in a horrible location. They made absolutely nothing off of this event. Nothing. So that's why this is so important. You need to know how to qualify these events before you agree to them, no matter who is recommending it to you. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's your business coach. You need to have your own qualification process. And in the Cash and Conferences training program, we have a series of 10 questions. They're simple and easy questions, but there's 10 questions you have to go through and answer before you give a yes and you decide to sponsor, speak, or even attend an event, right? Again, this is all about freedom in your business and profitability in your business so that you're not wasting time or money. So once you know how to find them and you qualify the events, you then need to look at this list of these events that you're going to participate in. Let's say you found 6 for the year that you want to use. You qualified them, you know they're great. Now you have to figure out what is going to be my best cash from conference strategy, CFC strategy. Should I be a sponsor? Should I pay to speak on stage? Should I just go as an attendee and work the room with the strategies that we talked about today? So you have to know how to look at the opportunity and objectively look at the best way to maximize it and get the most clients. Not every event is going to be the same, right? Some events, you're going to be a sponsor and have a table. There's some events I just go to as an attendee and network. And then there's some events, for example, I just got an opportunity presented to me recently to speak on stage in front of 1,200 people, but the investment is $28,000. okay? So that doesn't make it an automatic no for me. It's a big investment, but I have to weigh the pros and cons. I have to qualify the event to see if it's something that I really want to do. So every event is different. The opportunity is different. So that's why it also helps to have someone on the outside help you look at the situation and see which is going to be the best opportunity for you. But you also need to know for yourself, how do I objectively look at this and qualify to see if this is really the best opportunity? That's step 4, module 4 of the Cash and Conferences training program. Okay, then we break down in the program all 3 strategies, everything you possibly need to know, and all the support you would need to successfully close 5 to 6 figures in 3 days or less at someone else's event. You've got it in this program. The first strategy we're going to talk about is attending events. We've spent a lot of time today, so I won't go into a lot of detail, but we talk about how to stand out from the other attendees. We talked a little bit about that. Today I talked about 5 ways to pick up clients and credit cards, but there's actually 7. And for sake of time, I wasn't able to go through all 7 ways to move someone from stranger to client at an event. But in this program, I'm able to break down all 7, and we go deeper into the 5 as well and how to do it from start to finish. We also talk about your sales strategy. When you're attending an event, if you don't put out the right vibe, right, and you don't try to sell like someone else, you're going to come across very desperate. You know what I mean, right? We've all kind of like seen that person at the event. They just kind of like make the hair on the back of your neck stand up, and they're just kind of creepy, or you know, they feel desperate, right? So if you don't know what kind of style you are, a hunter or a gatherer, you're going to repel people. So in the Cash and Conferences program, we help you distinguish if you're a hunter or a gatherer and what that means, and then how to maximize based on your style. The next strategy is sponsoring events. So when I say sponsor an event, I mean having a booth or a table at the event. I don't mean having your name on the swag bag. I don't mean having your logo on the website. I don't mean having your logo or picture in the pamphlet or something like that, right? Those are great add-ons. But when I say sponsoring an event, I mean you have a booth or a table that is all about you and your services and your business or your event coming up. We talk about that as well, how to fill your event from sponsoring events. So don't ever buy a sponsorship if it's just your logo on the website or something like that. No one cares about that but you. The only person that gets excited about that is you. No one will call you because they saw your website on, you know, the bag to the event. It's a good add-on, but you would never buy sponsorship just for that. So the most important in this, one of the most important in this strategy is how do you set up the booth? Because I know I've walked through the expo hall area where all the booths are set up, and I cannot believe some of the booths that I see. Sometimes it looks like their 10-year-old son built the booth. Like, what are you thinking? I mean, this looks like a science fair project. So we teach thoroughly in the program exactly how to set up your booth in a way that's unique to you and your business, but it communicates your value proposition in an exciting way that actually makes people want to stop and talk to you, right? We also help you figure out how to make the most out of a bad booth placement, because even when you qualify the events, you could still end up with a bad booth placement, and something could have happened that's out of the event planner's control. It happens. Sometimes you just get a bad booth placement, or you're just kind of at the end and people have already walked through other booths. So how do you make the most out of a bad booth placement? We show you tactics and strategies that ourselves and our clients have made that actually redirected traffic back over to us. And not only were we glad, but the sponsors next to us were like, how did you guys do that? Thank you so much. So we show you how to make the most of a bad booth placement. We also show you, again, how to determine who your hottest leads are. So you don't have time to meet with everyone there at the event. You want to just meet with the ones that are the hottest prospects. So we help you figure out what is that criteria when you're asking those questions, so that you can immediately identify who are the hot leads so you can set up the consults there. Then we also teach you how to get them to sit down with you. So now you've identified who they are. How do you get them to sit down with you? There's a little bit more involved than just that one conversation. The sentences that I shared with you earlier, there's a little bit more involved to actually getting them to sit down there and then actually show up, and then be engaged during that conversation as well. And then if it's someone that you have to follow up with in the next few days, we also talk about strategies on how to make sure they show up for that. So you reduce your no-shows of people that don't show up for the calls that you set up after the event. So here's an example of me and my husband and business partner, Aaron, at an event that we sponsored in our booth. There, I think I'm about 7 months pregnant in the picture, if you can't tell. So here's an example of our booth at this event. I'm trying to remember which event this was, but so here's an example of our booth and some of the freebies and things that we did to get leads to enter in. And not only did we close sales and through our follow-up where we made back our investment within the first week of being a sponsor at this event, but we also closed sales there at the event as well. So when you know how to set up your booth properly and you know how to have a conversation with people, you're able to do that. And like the banner says, right, it doesn't have to take years. When you know these strategies, you can immediately have a quantum leap in your business within just a few short days. Here's an example of a client who just had a booth, and I'm going to teach you a little bit about how he did this, but with just a booth, Chris was able to close $100,000 at a 4-day conference. And this was like sales closed. This was not later conversations that he had to follow up on and then get them to pay and do their deposit. There at the event, he did the sales consults and he closed the leads there. He got the deposits signed and credit card swiped and agreement signed and sale closed. So here's a little tip with what Chris did. What we did together is at the booth, it wasn't just him at the booth. You never want to work your booth alone. You always want to have an attendant with you. So if you're going to do this strategy, you have to have the funds to invest in paying someone to be there with you, or any of the expenses to have someone there with you, because this, just think about the impression that that gives, right? If you have someone there, you're having a great conversation with them, and you say, hey, you know what, let's sit down, let's have lunch, or let's meet up at this time for coffee, and let's continue this conversation so I can share some ideas with you. Why don't you step over here and talk to my associate, Karen, and she'll get you set up. What kind of impression does that give, right? It shows that you've got your stuff together and that your business is doing really well and that you can help them do well. I mean, the impression is totally different. And then when he handed them over to his associate, that person then right there in front of them pulled out a calendar and had them book the consult. So what that does is it helps them psychologically see, okay, this is a real meeting. They're showing up. They're counting on me to show up. I need to show up. So it's kind of another way to kind of go through the red tape and make sure that they're serious and that they book the consult and that they show up. Just a little bonus tip for you guys. So are you guys starting to see how this is possible for you too, right? Once you know some of these steps and this process, that how you can start closing sales just like Chris did, right? So it's important that you guys follow this process, and we outline it in complete detail of how to have a sponsorship. And the sponsorship, man, that is the name of the game, because not only do you collect leads that you can continue to get sales from in the future, but you also can close leads there on site. You have more exposure, more time with people, and people take you more seriously because, wow, you paid to sponsor, like you must be doing good, right? So they want to have conversations with you because you're more impressive. So you guys can absolutely do this. It's just a matter of knowing the process. So let's continue on and we'll talk about the next strategy, which is speaking at events. So speaking at events is another great opportunity because you get to speak directly to your ideal clients and you have time on stage. I don't really need to tell you why speaking is so important. I'm sure you guys know that. But here's the problem. When people pay to speak at events, they don't know how to maximize it and how to close clients there. Even if you're able to make an offer like a $9.97 product or a $500 product or even a $100 product, There are ways to move people to come and see you afterwards and then close them into a high level program or package with you. So you don't just have to do the sale and close, you could close 30% of the room with a $997 product, but you're still missing the opportunity to close a few people into a $10,000 or $20,000 or $30,000 package. So you could do both. You could close sales from the stage at that $997 program. But you could also close sales with a $10,000 or $20,000 offer as well. So there's so many ways to maximize the speaking opportunity that speakers are constantly missing, and they're losing out on thousands and thousands of dollars that they could be making. So when you have the Cash from Conferences program, we teach you how to look at this objectively, look at your opportunities and see, how can I maximize this? How do I get the absolute most out of this? Especially when you're paying, right? I told you about, I got an opportunity to speak on stage in front of a lot of people, but it's a $28,000 investment. Do you think I'm gonna spend a lot of time creating a strategy to maximize that opportunity? You betcha. So it's important that you know how to do that, and also that you have support from someone that can be objective and help you identify what are the opportunities that you're missing. We do that in the Cash from Conferences program. We also teach you some of the foundational pieces on how to structure your talk to lead to the sale. Also how to sell from the stage when you're not allowed to actually sell from the stage. So there's ways to move people to action to come and see you afterwards without actually making any price offer from the stage, but move them to come and see you. And then when they come and see you, then you can set up a time to sit down with them and sell. So we teach that in the module to speaking at events. Okay, so here's an example of me speaking at an event, and this was I was not able to make a sales pitch from the stage. I was just able to give a free gift or a free offer. So there are 100 people in the room here when I spoke on this stage. And so at this event, I made a free offer and I told people to come to my booth, and I made a free offer for people to get on the phone with me. So I gave them some free gifts that they could actually read and download, but I also gave them the opportunity to get on the phone with me and have a sales consult with me. So this is what's known as a lead generation opportunity. So I paid a lot of money. I can't remember how much, over $10,000, I know for sure, for this opportunity. And with 100 people in the room, when I spoke on stage, I got 98% of this room. 98 of the people out of 100 signed up for a sales call with me. 98% conversion. They had never seen this before with people opting in for the free gift. Not only did I get 98% of the room to opt in, I got, when I went back to my booth, I created such a buzz about this sales call with me that I told them, I think I said something like, I only have something along the lines of, I only have enough space in my calendar for 23 people in the next couple weeks. So I had a line of people at my booth, anxious and like, I want to make sure I get on her calendar and can I, so they're all like anxious and excited to talk to my booth attendants to get on my calendar and have a call with me. So do you think I knew who my hot leads were and who I was going to sell first? Yep. Yes, I did. So we teach exactly how to do this in the Cash from Conferences program so that you can get a high conversion rate and you can get people that are super excited to actually talk to you about paying to be a client. Here's another example of Nancy Roberts again, where she was speaking this time at a one-day conference. So this was a one-day conference where she spoke for about an hour, and we crafted a strategy where we brought people back to come see her at her booth. And by the end of the day, she had met with a prospect and closed a $10,000 client at the event. So I'm using Nancy Roberts as an example again here because I want you to see how the first event that she did, she was going to go as an attendee. And then she decided to add on a piggyback event, which I'll talk about in a second, give you some tips on that. But then this event, her strategy was to speak for an hour and then drive people to her booth, and that closed clients. So I want you to see that even when you know how to find events, you know how to qualify them, there's still going to be different events with different opportunities, and you need to know how to distinguish what is the best opportunity and the best way to maximize it. So the other event was a multi-day event. This was a one-day event where she only got a few minutes on stage, and she was able to close a $10,000 client right then and there at the event. Pretty cool, right? Okay, so I just mentioned this, piggyback events. This is module number 8. Piggyback events is basically where you go to an event and you host your own mini event right after theirs. So it could be that evening, it could be a dinner, but there are basically 3 different types of piggyback events that you can do this. And these piggyback events can cost anywhere from nothing to a couple $100 to host yourself. So this is a great way to do this, to get clients and speak in front of them if you're not able to get on stage to speak, and make an offer for your services by doing a piggyback event. I love this strategy. This is one of my favorites to do because it has helped us close so much, and our clients close a lot in sales. And it doesn't cost you anything, or it's very, very little to do it. So we teach exactly how to run a piggyback event, what the 3 events are, what the 3 different types are, and how to build hype for it so that people actually attend the event. So, and then there could be times where we teach you how to check for this to make sure you're not stepping on any toes, but there could be times where you're not allowed to host a piggyback event in the same venue as the actual conference or event that's taking place. So we teach you what to do and how to get around that so that you're still being respectful of the event host and you're doing it in the right way, but you're still doing it in a way that is successful and helps you get clients. So with Nancy Roberts, her story that I shared earlier, the very first example where she was going to attend and then she decided, you know what, there's more opportunity here, let me do something else. And she had that mini event. That was a piggyback event. That was a piggyback event, and we had about 20 people in the room, and by the end of her 2-hour piggyback event, she had sold over $50,000 in sales, right? So again, we were able to help her look at the different opportunities she had, put together a plan and a strategy, and as you can see, the result, right, of what she was able to do. Okay, so the next module, module 9, and there's only one more left for us to get through, and I'm gonna give you some bonus tips here as well, is sales at someone else's event. I wanna take a moment and pause here and emphasize this because this is really, really important that you know how to, not that, it's the next one. Yes, you want to know how to close 5 to 6 figures at the event, but this next point is really the most important. You want to know how to respectfully and authentically sell at someone's event. Guys, this is someone else's event. It takes a lot of work. As an event planner myself, I know firsthand, it's a lot of work. It's usually a big investment if you're doing a big event like this. And so you want to be respectful of them, the event host. This is their party. Right? You wouldn't show up to a wedding in white, right? You want to be respectful of the bride. It's the same thing with someone else's event. You don't want to upset the event host. It's their event. They put the time, they put the blood, sweat, and tears most likely into it. So don't poach their clients. So what I mean by poaching their clients is what happens is sometimes people will use this strategy and they will go to an event. So let's say, for example, I, as an event planner, host an event on how to put on successful events. If someone else who was an event planner showed up there and tried to sell their services, how would you think I would feel about that? Not too good, right? So that's not very fair. It's not respectful. So what I say is you want to target events that are a complement, not in competition with the event host. So your service is a complement, not in competition. So for example, if I were to go to someone's event that was teaching people how to put on successful events, and I know they don't teach event sales or they don't teach event marketing, I would go there and that's the service that I would offer, I would provide. That's a complement to what they do. It's not in competition with what they do. So I want to hammer this because if you start showing up to people's events and you start coaching their clients, you're not going to get invited back, that's for sure. And people start to take notice of that. The event world is small. When you start going to a lot of these multiple 3-day events, the event world is small, and we kind of build a mental list of who these people are that do this. So you want to be respectful. Rant over. But anyways, the most important thing is sales at an event is different than just a normal sales consult that you would do with someone in general. If you're going to try to close a sale there at the event, there are specific objections that are going to come up that are unique to any other sales situation. So for example, someone will say, let me think about it when I get home from the event. I just took in a lot of information. Let me think about this when I get home. I just learned a lot. I want to absorb and I want to implement what I just learned first. Or I purchased the offer that the event host made. I don't think I can do both, right? This is very common. You will hear this. You will hear this from people. You have to know how to handle the objection and how to do it respectfully and authentically. We teach you exactly how to do that in the Cashman Conferences training program. So just the sales alone and how I break down the sales process and how to do the sales, I've been told that this should be its own separate product that I sell for $9.97. But I think it's important in this program that you guys understand all of these tactics and all of the strategies to get clients from someone else's event. Otherwise, I don't feel in my integrity that the program is whole. I don't believe in selling one program and then, oh, wait, you didn't really learn it all. Here's the next one. So that's why I teach sponsorship. That's why I teach speaking. That's why I teach sales. That's why I teach how to be an attendee, because you need to understand the full scope in order to successfully do this. And you need to have a process that goes through all of this so that you can really understand how to do this successfully. So the last module that we teach is follow-up. So the last module is about follow-up that is effective, because what often happens is when people do follow-up from an event, they don't know how to do it in a way that actually gets people to want to open up the emails or want to get on the phone with you, or they just don't do it at all. Right? They get all revved up and all excited about the event, and they don't spend any time on creating their marketing and their follow-up tactics for after the event. So they're missing out on thousands of dollars in sales from follow-up. So in this program, we teach you how to plan out your email marketing in advance, excuse me, in advance to the event. But we don't stop there. We actually give you templates of the actual emails we've used that got people to get on the phone with us, or actually get them to call us instead of us chasing them. So we give you those templates of how to do that. And then we also give you a way to evaluate how successful this event was for you. We want you to look at what was profitable, how much did you make, and what was the total investment, and right, just figure out, was this a good event for you? Because you want to know, is this another event that I want to do next year or not? Then the sales call, we teach you how to actually book and run the sales call after the event. When you're trying to get people on the phone after the event, oh my gosh, the time people spend, or that I used to spend just getting people to get on the phone, it seems like endless hours to try and get them on the phone. They're coming back, they're being inundated from emails and other people competing for them to get on their calendar. So how do you cut through all the noise that they're getting from all these other people and get them to actually get on the phone and have a conversation? So we teach the best ways to actually get them to be excited and get on the phone with you. So again, these were all your warm prospects that you didn't get a chance to meet with at the event. We teach you how to follow up so that they actually close after the event. So here's the example of Nancy picking up where we left off at her one-day conference. Remember I told you she spoke on stage for an hour and she closed 10K there at the event? Through her follow-up strategies, within a week after the event, in addition to that 10,000, she closed another 50,000 within a week of the event from her follow-up. Here's an example of another time where I sponsored an event. This one, I had a booth, obviously, there at the event. I was one of the main sponsors. And then I also had time on stage. And when I only had 5 minutes on stage, but I was able to create a rush of people to come to my booth. And from the rush of people that came to my booth, my team booked consults there at the event with the hottest leads. And from sitting down face-to-face with these people there, I closed 2 people into a 50K product or service with me. So 2 people at 50K, I closed $100,000 at this event sitting there. And this was not just, low little programs. This was 2 high-level offers. I just met these people that day. So you can close small programs, or you can close big high-level programs and products. So it doesn't matter which end of the spectrum you are. The point is you can do it when you know the process and how to move people to come and have a conversation with you. And then you know how to handle the objections and how to have the conversations there. But what I also want to point out is at this event, this was 2 years ago. This was 2 years ago when I did the sponsorship and closed 100K at the event. About 2 weeks ago, maybe a month ago, I closed another $7,000 from a client that I met from a person I met at that event became a client. So even long term, right, these strategies keep paying off. When you know how to follow up and continually market to people, you continue to get an ROI from this strategy, and people from your follow-up can become clients. So just to recap what this program includes, I extended the program because I got feedback from people that they wanted a little bit more time and more support from me. So it's a 6-month program. You could you could get through all of the content easily within 90 days if you wanted to. We send you the modules each week, and we help you give you accountability to implement it. But I wanted you guys to have time as well after you've learned all of the content to continue to get support so that you have time to not only learn but implement it and get live support from me. So you get the 10 training modules, and you get 3 one-on-one calls with me. So you schedule those calls whenever you feel you need additional clarity, you have an opportunity, whatever it is you want to use it for, mindset, you have 3 calls that you get to use one-on-one with me. But here's what I love about this program that I'm really excited to offer is you get lifetime access to the Q&A call. Every month in this program, I host a live Q&A call where it's Ask Me Anything. It could be about an event that you might want to sponsor, but you're not sure. It could be about, I chose to speak at this event, but I'm not sure I'm maximizing it. It could be about, what do you think about this tagline for my banner on my booth? Whatever it is, right? You ask me anything on this live monthly Q&A call, and you get to learn from other people as well. But what I love about this is, even after the 6 months, you can jump in on a Q&A call at any time. As long as I'm running this program, you can jump in on the Q&A call and ask me anything. So it could be 2 years from now, you've completed the program, but you have an opportunity coming up and you want to run something by me, jump on the Q&A call. So you guys see, like, that's incredible. That's incredible value. I've never heard of anyone doing that before in their programs, but I want you guys to use this and this to be a rinse and repeat strategy for you, because it does. It has to be a core strategy in your business to stay in business and keep getting leads. So I don't want you to struggle or ever feel like you're alone in this. I want you to always feel like you have support. So that's why I included this lifetime access to the Q&A call. Also, here's a biggie. A lot of people don't know what to do with their booth setup or how to design it, or should my banner say this or that. We teach you how to do the booth setup in the program, so you learn how to do it yourself, but you send us the information, you send us pictures of your booth, and we will review it for you and help you make sure that you've got a really, really cool setup for your booth. Really cool, right? Like, I'm really excited about that. I love to help with that. So here is a picture with Nancy and a client of mine, Chris, as well, of being there at their event and helping them sponsor. And, you know, I've showed you these stories, countless stories of people that have closed 5 to 6 figures at their events. And, you know, I want you guys to start picturing this for yourself of how you're able to do this, because you guys can be like them. You can start closing big sales at events like Chris, like Nancy, like my client Caitlin that I'm going to tell you about in a moment, like myself. And, you know, I can't hardly believe how blessed I am to have had clients like this where I've gotten to work with them one-on-one, and that people have paid me over $3,500 for a half day with me to help map out the strategy, or even $20,000 to work with me one-on-one on this for 6 months. So, and why have these people invested it? They've invested it because they needed to have the strategies mapped out, but they also knew that the investment was going to be a drop in the bucket. $20,000 is a drop in the bucket when you know that you have, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4 events that are going to make you $100,000, right? So that's why my clients continue to work with me, and it's because they know that the investment that they're going to get back. But now I want you guys to get access to this training yourselves and be able to implement this at your own pace and do it for like 1/20th of the investment that others have paid. So I want to make a fair exchange with you guys. If you give me a couple hours of your time each week or throughout the month, and I will show you in exchange how you can close 5 to 6 figures in sales and create that consistent cash flow in your business. Does that sound like a fair trade, guys? Yeah, so the retail price of this is $39.97 for the program, but you guys aren't going to pay the retail. You're going to get special pricing today that I'm going to tell you about in a moment, but I want to share with you guys from the heart why I'm not doing it for $39.97. Clearly the value is there, and what you guys will make from it, the value is totally there, but the reason I'm not going to charge that for this program right now is because I know that there are a lot of business owners out there that have paid for big price tag sponsorships and attended events countlessly without getting any results. And people that have paid big money to speak on stage and they've lost so much money because they didn't know their ideal client, they didn't know their value proposition, they didn't know how to close clients at the event mostly, and they certainly didn't know how to maximize the cash and conferences strategies of being a sponsor, speaker, or attendee. So I want to help level the playing field a little bit and teach these strategies, and I don't want people fumbling around. So here's an example of Caitlin. I want you to jump on this opportunity like Caitlin did in this deal, and I want you to just rock it out like Caitlin did right out of the gate. Caitlin was a client that came to me when she had just quit her job and opened a business only a month ago. And she was smart enough to know that the best way to get clients was to go where they were. So actually, a client referred her to me, and she enrolled in the Cash and Conferences program. This was back in 2016, I believe. And she said, I got this email from her, and it says, not even halfway, already seeing results. Basically, she shares that she went against her normal deal of like putting out flat. She dressed up nice. She had more confidence there, had a great conversation. And she went against the usual habit of showing a little late after the event started and leaving before it ended. Anyone else do that, right? She got there early, stayed late, and then about 20 minutes after the event had actually ended, she had a conversation with a woman that said, I think I can use someone like you. She got out her calendar, they set a meeting, and she got her first client. She was only halfway through the program and had just started her business, right? And she had never sold before for herself. So this was brand new, and she was able to do this. So whether you're new or you're a seasoned pro, I want you to know that this can work for you. You just need the process. You just need to know the strategy. And I also want to point out that what she does is she is an improv coach for corporate. She works with corporate. So corporate is known for having a long sales cycle. So if you think you have a tricky ideal client that takes a while to close, this works, right? Within a few days, she was able to get a client. So even if it took you a week less than it normally does, isn't that worth it if you can get results like this right away? So, and with her ROI continues to grow from this program. And I want to take a moment before we wrap up here in just a minute to talk about ROI, since I just mentioned that, because that's my mantra for 2020 is ROI and profit, because it's enough. It's time that we stop spending money on these complicated tactics and not having the ROI that we need, and we're paying everyone else's bills and we barely are seeing any profit in our business. This is a core strategy that you always need to have in your business. You always need to get leads. You always need to sell. You always have to keep that going to get ROI. This is not a fad that's going to come and go, right? And truthfully, I don't know what your ROI is going to be from this program because the ROI is up to you, right? But I do know that the ROI for Caitlin continues to grow and grow. I just spoke to her the other day, and she just sent me this update that, it was over 3 years ago when she started this program. And basically what she says here is that now it's ingrained. She knows exactly what to say. She knows exactly what to do. And she knows how to get the most out of investing her time and money at the sponsorships every time that she goes, right? And it's a core strategy. Look at that last paragraph that she said. it's now a core strategy that I use to consistently get clients. This is what she does to keep her business afloat. She uses this core strategy, right? So years later, it still is helping her generate profits and helping the ROI just grow and grow. So guys, what I really want you to take from this is a core strategy. We'll always need leads, because if you don't, you will go out of business, right? Whether it's this program or not, the point is, if you don't get leads and you don't sell, you go out of business, plain and simple, right? So if you're struggling and you're frustrated and you're living client payment to client payment, what I'm trying to share with you guys from the heart here is that it doesn't have to be that hard. And if you're debating, should I close up shop, or I just don't know what to do anymore, even if you're making money, but it's just really hard and you don't have a lot of profit and you're wondering why, this can help you, right? Let's scale things back and let's make things more consistent and get the profit up and make this something that is rinse and repeat, so that when you want to, you can take the money that you've made and you can reinvest it in your business because you have it at your disposal. You can grow those funnels. You can do all that other stuff because you have the money and you're able to do it, because the ROI continues to grow and grow and grow from these strategies, right? So what I want you to think about is, as well, is what is it costing you to not be using these strategies? We've talked about what you can make, but what is it costing you? Because in a sales conversation, I want you guys to do this as well, is help them realize the cost of an action, the COI. What is the cost of an action, right? I already said this. We always need it. No sale, no leads, no sales, no business. But the cost of an action is a lot greater sometimes than what we're making, because we're missing out on what we could make, right? Let's say you want to make $10,000 a month. Well, right now you're only making 2. Do the math on that. 10 minus 2 is 8, times 12 months in a year. That's $8,000. $8,000 times 12 months is $96,000. If you want to make 10, you're only making 2. There's a deficit of 8, right? $8,000 times 12, that's $96,000. Not taking action and not moving forward and not solving this problem, if you want to make 10K a month, is costing you $96,000, right? And how does that feel when you know that you're struggling and you don't have the money, you're doing the dance, or you're worried if you should even just fold up shop? It feels awful, right? And I don't want you guys to feel like that. I want you to feel confident. I want you to enjoy your business and actually love it and not resent it. Because I know I got to a place where I was resenting my business and resenting the time that it took away from the people that I loved and the things that I really wanted to do. So I want you to think about that gap and what it's really costing you. And rather than you guys invest that $39.97, what I want to do today for you guys is I'm prepared to offer it to you for only $9.97 today when you pay in full. $9.97. I only offer this price when I speak from the stage. Any other time I offer this program, it's usually $19.97 or $39.97. So this is a very special price that I'm making available for you guys today, because you're on this masterclass. So here's the thing. Here's what happens now, right? Is usually at this time, that's when the little gremlin pops up in our mind, right? Saying, I want to do this, but you can't do this. I need to wait. Or what about the money? I'm not really sure, right? The little gremlin starts popping up. Will this work for me, right? That's totally normal. Our body is designed to protect us from any danger or harm, and it perceives anything that is different or anything that will push us out of our comfort zone as something that is dangerous and harmful. It can't distinguish the difference between danger and opportunity. So if you have that gremlin saying, I don't think I can do this, or I don't have the money popping up for you, I want to make this as easy as possible for you. So here is the financing option. You could do a deposit today for $197, and this will get you started. Just $197 will get you started working with me in the Cash from Conferences program, and you will learn all of this, and then just make 5 additional monthly installments of $197. Okay, so just $197 today will get you started. You can go to that address to get signed up and take advantage of the special pricing today only for that. Because you guys, I know that you know better than that gremlin voice that's telling you that this is dangerous or this might not work, or I don't know if I have the money. You can distinguish between danger and opportunity. So your groundland voice will get quiet as you get confidence from doing it, right? And you see people handing over the credit cards. You know that this is something that you need to do for your business to stay in business. And you've seen me show again and again people that have made this a success and how I have made this a success. I am not special. They are not special. Okay, they have had a proven process and system, and so have I. And that's how we've been able to do this. It's not because we are just these magical unicorn creatures or something that know how to do this. It is a process, just like anything else, right? It's simple. Just like with losing weight, it's eat less, move more. It's simple. The thing that happens is we are the ones that complicate things and make it more challenging for ourselves. Right? So don't let money get in the way of creating the business that you want and having the freedom that you want and having the consistent cash flow that you want. Don't let this little guy get in the way. Okay, I know he can be scary at times, but don't let him get in the way, because what we want is we want you here. We want you to be happy. We want you to actually have fun. And there's nothing like the high of closing a sale, right? Like, you know that feeling where it's almost like if you've ever seen the movie Jerry Maguire, when he's in the car and he's singing Free Falling when he just closes the deal, you know, like it's such a great feeling. And when you go to an event and within 3 days or less, you close what you made in a year, like think about that. You could make as much as people make in a year in just a couple days by showing up and knowing how to do this. There is nothing like it. The high that comes with knowing that you just closed deals like that and you have clients that cannot wait to work with you. It is an incredible feeling. And I want you guys to enjoy that. So yes, money is real, but don't let that get in the way of permanent change for you. Instead, I want you to imagine you're getting ready for an event and your significant other looks at you and says, so how much are you going to make this time? Right? And you make it like a fun game of how much you're going to close this time. Or they say to you, hey, you know what? I want to go to San Diego. Is there an event coming up there that you can go to and we can go travel and you can pick up some clients and maybe make some spending money for the trip? Right? Or think about like when there's a big event coming up, maybe there's someone that has a big wedding anniversary or a big birthday or you know, they're having a baby or something like that. You want to do something special for them and you want to buy them something special. And now you have a way to look ahead and see it on your calendar. And you have a way of creating money to do that for those people, right? Whether it's splurging on them for a big occasion or it's just helping out someone that you know is in a tough spot. Now you have the way to go out and create the money. And the great thing about this, that what I've done to make this affordable for you guys is it's less than a cup of Starbucks every single day. If you went to Starbucks every day with what it costs now, it's less than that per day to do this. And this is an investment that is going to pay off and the ROI is going to build over and over and over. So again, your investment is only $9.97. And so that you can create that in your business. And listen, I can't guarantee, again, the ROI that you're going to have, but I do guarantee the program. So the program, I 100% back it with the money back guarantee that if you do the work on this program, you show up, you do the training, you do the calls, you go to events, and you don't make any money or you don't make your money back from this, I will 100% refund every single cent that you invested in this program. Every cent, because that's how confident I am that I know you will make money from this. And no one has ever asked me for a refund because it works. When you work the process, it works. So guys, I've done everything I can to make this a no-brainer for you because you know you need this in your business. I wanted to make this as easy and affordable as possible, but you got to put skin in the game. You got to learn this. You got to be invested in it. And whether you're, it doesn't matter if you're a beginner or you're a seasoned pro, if you're not going to events and you're not closing 5 to 6 figures at the event, then there's something in this program that you need to learn. It doesn't matter how long you've been doing it or how short of a time you've been doing it. You need this program. This is a program that you will continue to use for the life of your business and will continue to give ROI. So guys, I highly recommend you do this program with me. We're going to get started. The next round starts February 11th. So again, I ask you to jump in, become a member of the Cash from Conferences program. And for those of you that do, I'm going to tell you a couple bonuses. Here's a testimonial from a client that said it was the smartest decision she ever made working with us. For the real deal, we show up, we do what we say. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, so just to recap again, the program, it includes 6 months, 10 training modules, 3 laser one-on-one calls with me, lifetime access to the Q&A call. We review your booth, your setup. Oh, and we also have business content from our guest experts. So there's some great additional training in there as well. Just a couple examples. There's someone who talks about how to have really killer branding that'll make you stand out and attract people, how to set up your agreements that people sign. So once you get the sale, you can keep the sale. So and then there's also someone who talks about if you have a program you want to sell, how to do that with events specifically. So that's some of the bonus content that we give you with that. So some of the bonuses really quick, and then we're going to wrap up, and I'm going to tell you how you guys can get all of that free stuff. Is again, $997, deposit today of $197 and 5 installments. Here's the bonuses. Okay, my team is going to look up 3 events for you. We will take the time and look up 3 events for you and then tell you these are good opportunities. Then you're going to do your own due diligence and you're going to decide if you're going to use these events, but we will actually spend the time to look these up for you based on your ideal client and your business goals. We're going to give you a list of conferences and events to help you give a jump start for other events that you want to find or where to find clients. And then we're also going to give you swipe copy that we've used that has converted and gotten people on the phone. And then we're also going to give you our template that helps you qualify all of the events and figure out what is going to be the best opportunity, look at what the cost is involved for everything so that you can make the best educated decision and make sure you're showing up at the right events so that you can make cash from conferences. So the total value of the bonuses is $4,000. This is real value, what people have paid, if not more. And then for those of you that take action today, I want to speak to this for just a second because I am very guarded with my time. I'm very, very guarded with my time right now. For those of you that were here at the beginning before we jumped on, you saw my beautiful 5-month-old son that popped in to say hi. And every moment I spend away from that little guy, it kills me. So I want to spend as much time with him. So I only want to work one-on-one with clients that are action takers and that are decisive and really want to make a change in their life and in their business. So I don't work one-on-one with many people anymore because I'm very picky about who I work with because I only want to work with the people that want results and will do the work. So for those of you that do take action and are decisive today, I know that you're the person I want to work with, so I want to reward you. I'm going to be giving you a special one-on-one call with me, a jumpstart call where we're going to zero in on your messaging and make sure that you've got your value proposition down. Right? So in this call, we're going to dig deep and we're going to make sure that we got your number one problem figured out, that you solve, and the value that it provides so that you have a value proposition and you're set up for the rest of the program. Also, I'm going to do another one-on-one call with you called My First Event Strategy Call. So we're going to look at your business goals, who your ideal client is, and we're going to come up with a strategy together, you and I one-on-one, and review what your very first event should be and what the strategy is you should use. We're going to figure out, should you be an attendee? Should you be a sponsor or a speaker? And look at how to maximize that opportunity so that you can, right out of the gate, start getting clients from this training. So if this is an investment and a leap for you, I want you to start making money back from this right away. Like Caitlin, she wasn't even halfway through when it was just a 90-day program and she was getting clients right away and she had just started her business. I want that for you. Whether you're new or a seasoned pro, I want you to make back your money instantly from this program. So I'm going to do my first event strategy call with you for the people that take action today. So if you sign up to be a member in the Cash from Conferences program, the investment is $997 when you pay in full. You basically save a payment, save a couple $100 bucks. So I highly recommend the pay in full option. But if you need to do installments, I'm happy to do that as well. It's just $197 to get started. That $197 will get you started today. You will lock in all the bonuses. You'll get the My First Event Strategy call and the Jumpstart call with me. But again, this is for today only for the fast action bonuses. So I definitely encourage you guys to do this. I'm trying to make this as easy as possible for you guys, so you can figure this out on how to do this for your business, because I know that this is what is going to help you grow, right? And I know that growth can be uncomfortable. So I know there's been times for me where I've had an opportunity presented and I felt it in my stomach and I knew it in my heart that this was the right thing for me, but I also was scared and I was afraid, and it was because I didn't want to be uncomfortable. But you have to get out of your comfort zone if you want to have a successful business. You have to, right? And there were times where I had to look at where I was going to find the money. I didn't always have it. I had to look at what were some outside sources I could turn to temporarily to help me out, or, you know, what did I need to do to get creative? I've even sold things before so that I could do and take advantage of an opportunity, because I knew I would be successful and I knew that I had the support and I knew I had to be uncomfortable if I wanted to grow. So if you are feeling that this is the right next step for you in your business, I want to invite you to look at how can you grow? How can you just be a little bit uncomfortable and figure out a way to do this? Because this is the solution to creating consistent cash flow in your business and not having to worry about where the next client is coming from, because the next client is the next event away. I want you to think about that, because it's so true. You look at your calendar when you know this, that you know the strategy and you know this process. You can look at your calendar and you can say, I've got this event coming up in March. I've got this event coming up in February. I've got this event in June. I've got this event in July. I've got this event in October. And you can see how your business is going to consistently have sales coming in, and you're going to keep the pipeline full. And not only are you going to keep it full, you're going to have some big spikes too, right? So it's not just dips. You've got constant spikes on top of it, maintaining where you need it to be. So that's what I want for you guys. So guys, this is the solution. This is the solution to stopping that pattern of that feast or famine and the big dips, right? So we can keep you at a consistent high line and maybe give you extra spikes when you want them, right? So like I said, it is a full back money guarantee if you don't make the investment back, which I know won't happen, because if you do the work, you're going to get the ROI. I don't know what your ROI would be because you got to put in the work. But I know that between the 4 bonuses and the 2 additional gifts, your value is over $6,000 for this. And your problem may go away from this. Your problems may go away from all this training and the bonuses. And I say may go away because you got to do the work, right? You got to do the work. So don't let another day, another decade, or another month go by with struggling to figure out where your next client is coming from. You got to act, you got to be decisive, you got to take action. So I invite you to enroll in the Cash from Conferences training program. Do what's simple, do what's savvy, and go where the leads are and close them, right? Once you know the value of the problem you solve and you go where the leads are, you know how to close them, you can make cash from conferences. So the last thing I want to say is I want to caution you, because what I don't want to happen is you hear this training, you see some examples, and you go out and you decide to wing it. Guys, just because it's simple, go to where the clients are and close them, doesn't mean it's easy. You can't just wing this, okay? You need to know the process on how to find the events, how to qualify the events, and then how to work the strategy to close the clients when you're an attendee, sponsor, or speaker. There have been so many business owners I have seen waste thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. I told you the example about a client that spent over $10,000 in an event and didn't get a dime back. This happens all the time with people when they sponsor or they speak at events, and I don't want that to be you. So you can't just swing this. You need someone to help you see the opportunities and not just swing this on your own. And the other thing I don't want you to do is I don't want you to hear these examples and just copy it. I love S&D, steal and deploy, right? But this is not a strategy that you want to S&D. You need someone to help you learn the process and the principles of getting cash from conferences, and you need to have your own unique strategy. What works for me may not work for you. There are little ways to tweak and change the strategy based on who your your ideal client is, based on what your business goals are, and based on your current expertise level. You can't just copy what you see someone else do and think that it's going to work for you. And if you do, you're not going to make the money, right? So for example, even myself, I need someone to help me look at these opportunities by not just by myself, and sound this out, right? That $28,000 opportunity that just was presented to me, I had to run it by my business partner, and we worked through pros and cons, and we looked at what was going to be the best opportunity. And we decided that right now, we're not going to get the highest ROI. We need to set a couple things up first and then do it next year. And then we're going to get a high ROI out of it. So you need that outside perspective to help you create your own customized strategy for events and not just wing it on your own. So that's the good news, is when you have someone on the outside, they can help you figure this out, right? And once you learn these strategies and principles, eventually over time, it becomes ingrained. Like Caitlin said, you can just know what the process is and how to close clients at events. So when you do your 3 one-on-one calls with me and the lifetime access to the Q&A calls, you'll always have someone to run the opportunities by, but this will become second nature for you. So guys, go to the link, go to ateameventcompany.com/cash from conferences, get registered and enrolled in the Cash from Conferences training program. And I can't wait to get started with you with this program. And guys, the only other thing I'm gonna say is, if you have any questions, please reach out. Please reach out to me on this program. I wanna work with you, I wanna support you, I wanna help you. I don't want you living in a quiet desperation. So many people are living in a quiet desperation. Now is not the time to be quiet or desperately chasing after clients, or desperately wondering where the next client is gonna come from. So you've been quiet for way too long. Now is the time to know and have confidence that you have a sustainable business that you love, that you get excited to do every single day, and that you have created the freedom and the lifestyle that you want. So you've made it this far. I hope you go all the way and you join me in the Cash from Conferences training program, because I know with every fiber of my being, you will not be the same person that you are sitting here today at the end of this program. So enroll today, get started today with me, and you can get registered by going to this link right here at ateameventcompany.com/cash-from-conferences. And get registered for only $9.97 for paid in full, or with the payment plan of just $197 to get started. And once you enroll, our team member will call you to welcome you and enroll you and get you started right away in the program. And because you guys are here at the finish of the masterclass, congratulations. My team will let me know who it was that stayed to the very end, and I will give you copies of the slides. And I will also send you the gift, Finding Your Superpower Proposition. So thank you guys very much. I appreciate your time today. I hope you learned a lot of great, valuable information. And I can't wait to see you in the Cash from Conferences training program. And until then, I wish you all success and happiness. Take care.